Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I will be doing 3D therapy using grease pencil. I call it this like a Zentangle 3D. So you're gonna be doing like Zentangle art in 3D space, and usually it's kind of a little bit complicated. But let me show you a method. So we start with Shift A, grease pencil blank, and we start. Normally we start drawing, right? If we draw something in 3D space, we don't know the plane, we kind of can draw dots, right? We can rotate the plane and we can draw more dots. This is probably one method that you would like to try. So we are drawing, when drawing with Zentangle, I remember reading in a book with the Zentangle art, you start with 4 points and you connect the dots, right? And this is, I think, is really important in this case. And I want to show you, when you're drawing in grease pencil, by default, your stroke placement is at the origin. You can also set it to 3D cursor or surface, but stroke is what you want. And make it turn on endpoints instead of all points. But you can try and experiment. So let's try now. Connect the dots. When you're connecting the dots, we know that they are in 3D space. It's not flat. So we're gonna connect it actually in fact, we're gonna connect them in 3D space. And this is really important and really powerful. One thing you one thing you need to keep in mind, it won't be planar unless you turn it into triangle. Okay, for example, this guy is not planar. These dots, if you try to draw something like a Zentangle, you need to make sure it's planar. It can be flattened into a flat object, so you want to actually make it triangle. So now we are into something. So whenever you draw, it's gonna be in 3D. I think the one that could be interesting is that the first and the end need to connect. No matter what, it's better if you connect the first and the last points. So this is gonna keep the strokes always in place instead of floating. And I think this is pretty cool. So you can kind of drawing it like that. So something sticking out, right? If you connect the end part, it's gonna connect to the other strokes. But it's okay to draw it like floating like that. So this is the Zentangle 3D. So now I will make a different kind of motif and pattern. Well, the easiest one is just connecting the dot, but sometimes, you get a surprise like that. You're drawing it in 3D, but you're connecting strokes. So the first and the last points is important. You can make it all points. If you select all points, if they are actually overlapping and you draw off all over the points, you're gonna get this. You might like that, but in this case I like to have it just first and end points connections. So okay, that's a weird one whenever it's sticking like that, but that's okay. There is no rule with this. If you want to draw legs, let's say you draw these points like that, right? If you go tab, you can A to select all, but you can also just select that part, and you can actually kind of plan what you want to draw. If you want to draw like a leg, for example, so this is maybe like a chicken leg. Okay, this can be rotated. So we are kind of working in 3D. So I try to think of chicken leg. So this can go like that. I used to be a rigger, make a bones, placing bones and setting up controller. So this is, oops, kind of fun thing. Bring back old memories. Oh, shit. 1, 2. Okay, yeah, it's making the bones, connecting the bones, the leg. Let's say you like this stroke, right? You can select it like this, and then Command L, and you can duplicate it, make another chicken leg. And okay, this part need to be connected, so that's easy. So connecting the dots method is pretty cool. Now, okay, this is a chicken. It decided to be a chicken, so we should allow it to be a chicken or a dinosaur. It could be a wing. All right, connect this as well. I don't know, make it more like a form, some kind of form. If you study like Aboriginal art, primitive arts, I realized they're really good with lines, circles. They seem simple, but it's very intricate, and it goes beyond what you think. Okay, it's very simple primitive art, but not really. In fact, you can tell story like let's say it's decided to be a snake. If you draw it stroke to stroke, then you'll never get lost. If you decided to be a snake, then for today it's gonna be a snake. Maybe tomorrow it's gonna be another form. So it's a shape-shifting kind of art. It's what Zentangle is really feels like for me. It has some kind of 3Dness sometimes, and you shouldn't stop there. In fact, you can actually play around with the Scrulp mode, and Scrulp mode will allow you to grab the stroke and give it more 3D, because it's all in 3D after all. Not everything needs to be planar. It could be like a fabric. Yeah. Remember, it's still actually 3D, and because I'm drawing it using my mouse, it's not like a VR. It doesn't have stroke pressure. It's not a Wacom or stylus. In order to get some kind of thickness, you can play around with this thickness as well. Smooth, thickness, strength, it's all there for you. Twist, even twist. So you can add thickness where you think, okay, that should be thicker, because it's important part of the doodles. So yeah, this is what I mean by Zentangles in 3D. It's probably unusual method. It still look like just stick drawing, but I want to show you if you know the fastest way is to use Bezier curve, but you can use geometry nodes in the future, I guess. So you get this, and geometry, you can extrude or just use the depth. This is a lot of points, however you might want to simplify this segment. So curve, clean up, decimate, decimate curve to 0.1, decimate a lot, 0.05, while keeping the stroke mostly. Increase the resolution, fill the cap as well. So this is kind of already quite nice. You can turn this into 3D. It has depth. If you really want, you can actually use a method like Shift A, create a mesh. Okay, a cube, and you start blocking. If you want to make a surface, this box here, if you go to hit tab and then we get a box, right? Delete. You can delete all, and then you can Shift A and create a points. A single vertex, add a single vertex, and I believe it's creating the vertex where the target is. Okay, let's do it like this. Control Shift click. Whoops. Select an object. Control Shift right click or Shift right click. So we get our single points. Shift right click is gonna place this target. So if you go to edit mode, Shift A, add a single vertex, is gonna be place it there, and Shift right click again, Shift A, add a single vertex, Shift A, add a single vertex. Yeah, we have multiple points, right? In Blender, if you select 2 points, F, you're gonna connect the dots. Okay. And once you have like a planar surface, you can select all, and F, you're gonna create a face. Pretty cool. Yep. It's pretty cool. I know it's super basic, but you can start connecting the dots and you're gonna create a surface. So yeah, that's what I will actually do. Select, delete all the vertices. We want to shift right click, place this 3D cursor on that point. Shift A, place a single vertices. Shift right click, Shift A, Shift right click, Shift A, and then select all the points and then connect the dots. You get a triangle there. The triangle is gonna be perfectly placed on that area. And if you go to face, you can then extrude. And that's how you place like a 3D, if you want to add 3Dness into it. Yeah, because when you later on you right click and then convert everything into mesh, you can join this mesh together. You can use a remesh. Now it's become a single surface. Right click, convert to mesh again, go to Scrulp Mode. So I think it's really unusual way to do modeling, but I like it. So inflate. So it's really inflating that areas where we have a surface. But yeah, once you have this, you can do more. You can continue, you know. If you go to Vertex Paint, you can fill it. Draw, fill, set vertex color. Whoa, okay. Select a color first. Paint, set vertex color with Shift K. There's a lot of shortcuts. Go to Scrulp Mode. You can use this paint because the paint will actually paint. Yeah, and then Shift is blurring it. I like this method because it's faster than Vertex Paint. Scrulp Mode Vertex Painting is actually kind of new. It's added a few Blender version ago. can really organically paint your objects. So something that start from a Zentangle. Okay, we don't need this. This is all the progress, you know. I thought it's pretty cool. This guy, it's still, yeah. So this could be like a block. This one is more like smooth version with the extra things that you add, kind of like a blocking. This one is already painted. So remember, if you want to export this into iPad, you need to do it like a UV painting. I recommend you to do the UV first and then export as USDZ and then send it to Procreate. You can sculpt it further in Nomad Sculpt. A lot of interesting fun things you can do. Use also the place helper here if you want to place objects on top of the object. You can add cube if you want to. So cube, that's kind of understand the normal. I thought that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have. Sticking out like that. I'm doing this in Blender. Maybe in the future I'll be using some VR tools. I don't know, MetaQuest or Apple Vision Pro. Just a fun tools. Because if we are doing this in 3D, it's probably gonna be, because it's different interface, it feels like real. You can just place objects like you are doing a Lego. Okay. You can place this character on the surface like that. Oh, okay. Depth gonna be snap to geometry. Okay, just add a cube. Interesting, that's placing it there, but that's because of the 3D cursor is placed there. Okay, shift right click. Okay, doesn't matter. Place our chicken. We don't want it to be underneath, so sculpt, grab. So sculpt help a lot, and also we have sculpt and flatten. Inflate is cool. We can inflate any areas that we think should be thicker. And you can always sculpt and add more details. If you don't like the block of cubes, then you can just separate it. You don't need this. You can hide using H. Okay, so that's the process. It's a bit crazy, but that's the 3D Zentangle. Something that I like to maybe perhaps do in real 3D, you know, just drawing lines and connecting lines. I think grease pencil has advantage being able to snap first and end of strokes. Things like that is kind of something you take for granted if you are using Blender, but if you are not using Blender in 3D, using 3D tools, you kind of back to zero. I kind of wish Blender will be installed on VR tool, or we can work inside Blender using 3D tools. So yeah, 3D VR tools. So there you go. Hopefully you find this useful and interesting. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.